Welcome, everybody, to YMA Mat Chat. This is episode number 83, and we are here. I am Coach Les, and I'm here with Mr. John Yarwood, who has done the hard work and the heavy lifting on tonight's topic: stay busy, stay growing, and why hobbies matter. And for some, that's after school, no matter what grade you're in, and especially after you graduate from high school. And I think there's even a concern with after you graduate from college. Sometimes people, they go to school with this in mind. And after going to school, their minds change, the plans change, the work changes, the view changes, and then it becomes a question. So tonight, I think we're going to delve into one of the reasons that I, for one, jumped right into work and stayed and work in the restaurant business while I figured out what I wanted to do with my life. So over to you, Mr. Yarwood.
Yeah, I mean, it's that time of year, right? Graduation season. I had a former student drop by and visit and drop off his graduation. So there is open house thing plus his graduation stuff, and he didn't really know exactly what he wanted to do. So we had a good conversation. He's like, he was asking me what he should do. I'm like, it's not up to me what you do. I said, the one thing you make sure you do is don't stop, right? You've got momentum right now. You can take a week and have some fun and whatever, but the longer you let that go, the less likely you are to get back on track. It's harder and harder to get going once you've stopped. So I told him, I said, it doesn't matter what you do, but start doing stuff. And if you want to get a part-time job or during the summer or an internship, talk to people. Or he wasn't sure about going to school yet. So I'm like, that's fine, but don't stop. Don't keep the momentum up, right? You don't have a schedule now. You don't have things you have to get done, but you have to create one for yourself so you have stuff to do. Otherwise, you fall into this lull, and then the longer you're in it, the deeper it gets, the harder it is to get back out. So I talked to him about, maybe are you interested in a trade school? Maybe you're interested in, becoming an electrician or a plumber. Who knows, right? Just go out and start searching for things and see what you like and what you don't like and go from there. But if you stop moving, dead in the water. You start churning and you're just not getting anywhere. And it creates all kinds of issues. So you got to stay focused, stay busy, keep yourself moving.
Well, I think, Mr. Yarwood and I bumped into each other at the grocery store today. And I think one of the things, I noticed about what you were sharing today is if you look at how you were before you really developed this new habitual way of eating, you were just kind of stuck, just kind of doing the same thing.
Yep. Habits. You create habits and it's hard to get out of them.
Listening to you say, yep, we had pizza on Monday nights. I was like, oh my God, it sounds like being in prison, getting prison food on Monday nights. It was always pizza.
Every Monday night. Yep.
And I didn't hear, when I hear some people say that, it's like, oh yeah, I can't wait. Monday night is pizza night. I love it. I did not see that in his face at all.
Yeah, it just became, I don't even know how long we had pizza. It's just that I'd get home, pizza was ready, I'd eat pizza. I loved it. It was good. I didn't have a problem with it, but it was just like it was the same. And it wasn't, and it's not great for me. There's just a lot of things, there's a lot of good to it, but there's a lot of stuff that doesn't jibe with the way I'm doing things now. So I changed it. And I just, one evening I sent a text on my way home from teaching to my wife that said, yeah, I don't want pizza tonight. She went, what? I said, nope, don't need to cook pizza. She was fine with it. She didn't have to cook pizza because she didn't normally eat it anyway. So now I haven't had, I don't even know when I've had like a full slice of pizza. It's been since probably February now that I've had pizza. and I don't crave it. I don't really miss it anymore. At first, I kind of did, but because you get used to it. So that next Monday, I got home. I went, "Oh, that's right. I'm not eating pizza tonight." But you gotta get yourself out of ruts because you get stuck in them, and then you get used to it, and then you're not moving anywhere. You just keep going doing the same things over and over and over and over, and you're not really advancing. You're not getting better. In reality, you're probably falling behind because you're missing out on a lot of other stuff. So if you don't have a mission, a goal, a plan, a trail, a path, whatever you want to call it, you're going to get stuck.
I think one of the things too, in Germany, when you're done with high school, you have to go and be in the armed services for 2 years. And I'm a proponent of that. Now, there may be some people that say, well, I'm a peacekeeper. Awesome. Then go in the Peace Corps for 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Well, militaries do keep peace. That's the point.
Yes, but they don't want to be. I mean, I understand what they're talking about. Right?
Yeah.
And I think you can go into the Coast Guard. You can go into
fire services.
Yep. But do something where you're contributing, working, learning, and making money.
Being of service.
Yep. And I think the opportunity for that type of forward thinking is, if you're not quite sure, don't do something you hate. Oh, well, I have a degree in this, and so I figured I'd just go and do this. Well, I'd be careful about that, because let's say you have a degree in biology and you want to do something around biology, and you go and get a job doing some menial work that, quote unquote, has something to do with biology. You may gather a distaste for it and burn yourself out of what actually it is that you want to do in that field. So you want to be a little strategic in what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I like the idea of going into the service, some type of service, is to see a little bit of the world and to learn what's possible in the world. To see if finding yourself is a great idea in a part of the world. Doing some mission work, ministry work, going around, making a difference for people that don't have what you have, and plugging yourself into an organization that allows you to learn that difference and earn that difference. Even if you may find something that doesn't pay you and you can afford to do it, right? You don't have any bills, you don't have a car payment, before you go buy a car, just to have one, go and do something with the humanities so you can build a part of you that will then know, wow, this is what I done. This is what I want to do. And this is why I want to do that.
Mm-hmm. Take that a step further. I've heard like people in particular who are in the military, right? And they get out of the military. In the military, they always had a place to be, a thing to do, where they had to be, all that stuff, right? They're very regimented in all their stuff. And they get out of the military, especially those who've been in, maybe they served 20 years or whatever. They get out and they don't know what to do, right? They just leave the base for the final time with all their stuff, and then they all go out in the world and they don't know how to get along because they don't have a mission, right? In the military, there's always some kind of a mission that they're going on, something that gives them a drive, a direction, and they get out and they just go, okay, now what? right? And that ends up being issued because they can get in trouble. They can find themselves, all kind. Who knows what's going to happen, right? So it's just important that when you're moving on into something different from what you're used to doing, at least have some kind of plan. It doesn't have to be like a rigid plan, but some kind of idea of what am I interested in? What things can I spend some time in and try and figure out if I like or not, right? We talked about iterative decision making before, like little decisions along the way. You don't have to come out and go, okay, this is what I'm doing and that's it. It doesn't have to be that. You come out, like you said, try a little thing here, try a little thing there, find what works for you, find what doesn't, and then move from there. But if you stop completely, you're going to get lost. Keep moving.
I was just looking and just thinking about, I came out, I went into the military in the middle of my college. I said, I'm going to take a break. And I went into it, and I found a field that gave me college credits. And it helped me to see that wasn't something I was interested in.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that's what it does too. You find out what you don't like as well.
I mean, I enjoyed what I did in the military. I was a field artillery surveyor, right? So I got to use surveying stuff. And I had, I talked to some people. It's a great job. A lot of people like being a surveyor. They work for the city, they work for the government, they work for independent agencies, and they get to travel, they get to go roughing it, drive a truck around, go out, lots of fun stuff. I got bored very, very quickly.
Did you know that George Washington, that was his calling? He was a surveyor. He loved it.
No, really?
Real estate surveyor. Yeah. When he wasn't in the military, he was a surveyor. He loved it.
Yeah. I mean, it was fun, especially going through the training and learning. But once I learned it, it was like, okay, go do this. All right, now what?
Yeah.
It was like, and then I was in the military, I was replaced by a handheld piece of equipment
Yep.
that linked to a satellite.
Yep.
So for me, part of what I wanted in a job was something that always kept me on fire.
Yep.
That kept me inspired. So
yeah, for me, I mean, I didn't start actually training Taekwondo till I was 36 years old. So it took me a while to find exactly what I wanted. I did a bunch of stuff along the way, stuff I enjoyed, right? But it just wasn't what I wanted to do for my life. I didn't know that I wanted to do Taekwondo until I found Taekwondo. And I went, oh, I kind of like this. But if I would have stopped looking and just settled for what I was doing, I never would have found what I actually wanted. But, that's when you stop growing, you stop looking, you stop learning, then you just get stuck. And it's hard. The longer you stay stuck, the harder it is to get unstuck.
yeah.
It's okay to take a break once in a while, get away, whatever, but it can't be permanent.
Yeah. So part of the next thing that I saw was, you've got a section here, why hobbies matter. And I'm the weirdo that says my hobby is actually a job. To some people, but I enjoy it so much. It can take me from having a bad night or a bad day and turn it completely upside down in a matter of 5 minutes.
Yep.
And that's scooping ice cream for
Well,
kids.
hobbies can turn into what you do, right?
Yep.
That's what happened for me. Taekwondo was a hobby when I started. I didn't have any long term plan to become a martial arts school owner. I just wanted to do Taekwondo, right? You just don't know. So hobbies can ultimately become what you do, who you are. So having hobbies is good. I mean, getting away from and I don't see some people might say, well, I play video games as a hobby. Yeah, well, that's not really a hobby, right? There might be some people who make good money playing video games. Don't get me wrong, but that's also like there's a lot of guys who played football as a hobby that became NFL players. Yeah, okay, a few make it to the top, but the rest of it's not going to happen. So sitting around playing video games is not a hobby; it's a time killer, right? But if you're into maybe you take that skill and build apps or build stuff from the knowledge that you've learned, that's different, right? Now you're building other things and maybe you can make money from that. But it's like finding a hobby. I mean, when I was a little kid, I used to build models and I learned a lot building models about focus and paying attention and details and following directions and patience and a lot of that stuff I learned from building models, right? It was a hobby that I love to do and I still love doing it, but I learned a lot from it too, right? I took away from it when I look back, especially patience. When I was a kid, I had no patience whatsoever. I had a hot temper. And the one thing I would be working on models, right? And something would go wrong, something didn't work, or I'd break a piece, or I put a decal on in the wrong place, or something happened, and I get mad, right? Like mad, like temper tantrum mad, and I would take that model and throw it across the room. And within 10 seconds, I regretted what I did, right? And I just spent all that time and all that effort and all that stuff, and I just destroyed it in a matter of seconds. So it taught me patience, right? Well, if you're having struggle, walk away from it and come back. That way you don't get upset again because you destroyed something that you loved, right? But when you're doing hobbies, that you learn things that you don't even realize you learned from doing that stuff, right? How you enjoy things. And when you apply that to other stuff, you start to find the things that you like because the things that you learn can be applied to those. Oh yeah, that's a lot of fun, right? And then it helps you to do other things and find other things and put you on different paths that you might not have found otherwise.
Hmm. Yeah, I think when I think about my hobbies, playing soccer was one of them. Um, you know, I would say that's the number one thing that I've consistently done over time and done, with a great degree of um, passion and the ability to break through some physical barriers that I have. And I like you. The reason I was laughing and chuckling when you were talking about throwing a temper tantrum was I had my own version of temper tantrum. Um, and it would be to leave and say F you and walk away. Um, so it was more of the I'm out of here type of deal. And with soccer, I developed the ability to work with a team. and find joy and enjoyment in the team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the fun in that for me, I mean, I still just Memorial Day weekend, a friend of mine just came up here from Tennessee. He lives in Tennessee now with his wife and two kids. And they're out there in college, out of college. Um, but he came up here and we got together and we reminisce. And one of the other places that he and I got to um, spend a lot of time was dancing. We were consummate line dancers, country western, and uh, and we reminisced about that because he and I would dance 5 nights a week,
Hmm.
and I would bring 4 or 5 shirts for the evening because I would just soak the shirts from dancing so much. And if I wanted to dance with somebody, I have to go to the bathroom and put on a dry shirt. And Tony's his name. Tony goes, "Yeah, Les, I remember that, but I never brought shirts. So the reason I'm married to Teresa, his wife, who's there, is she loved me even though I was wet, and she loved to dance with me. And so we spent, I would immediately go and start dancing with her until the next good line dance song came along. And she was okay with me being soaking wet. And I just laughed because I just thought, wow, those weird things that happen. And, here we are. I think it was probably 5 years that we danced seriously at that high level,
Hmm.
5 nights a week. And I'd get up, we'd be up until 1 o'clock in the morning. I'd get home, go to sleep, wake up, and go do my full time day job. And I'd be completely energized in my day job. Couldn't wait to get done and head dancing that night. And it was a 40-minute drive from my house.
So you had a mission,
A
a
mission,
goal,
a
a
goal.
plan.
Yep. And, and then my goal became I wanted to find somebody that loved to dance, loved to do that kind of work, that liked wine, because I had a job selling wine, liked going out to eat. And that's how I met my first wife. So I think that, when we look at the personal development for me in doing these hobbies and dancing and playing soccer, there was twofold. One was to socialize, but the other was also health.
Yep.
I mean, my knees and my legs were, um, well, I'll tell you the quote. I went to Colorado and blew my knee out skiing. I got hit from the side, and by somebody going across the ski slope when I was going down. Whoosh, and you put a 5-foot board on the end of your foot, levering it around. Something's gonna go.
Yeah.
Something is maybe likely gonna go in your knee. And I just thought I sprained it. So did the doctors. They tested it and everything. And when I got back, it something was off. And I finally went to the orthopedic, and the guy that did Anthony Carter's knee was the one that did my knee. And he goes, I can see how the doctor and the surgeon on the slopes didn't think your knee was, because your knee is so strong, all the muscles around it from dancing. that losing that one ligament, your knee was still okay. It was when you jumped and spun and landed and your knee went woo.
Yeah.
And when it went woo, that woo, and you go, yeah.
Yeah. Not good.
It's not good. But that was, for me, that was the intensity of which we participated in a hobby. And I looked at some of the people that I went to school with. They were going to the bar and just drinking, hanging out, drinking.
Yep.
And I couldn't do it. Like, that was just not my thing to be able to do that. Like, I didn't see the develop. I didn't see, and I don't mean this to be cruel to anybody that does that's their thing, but I just didn't see any growth and development in who I was as a person or in relationships.
Right. It's a lot of things that can lead to bad things.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but quite often.
Yep. I loved your story because I looked at, the whole Korean culture thing for you and where that led.
Yeah.
My how did you meet your wife is my curiosity.
So my college roommate, his family owned a steak place at the state fair. And they were there for like 20 years. And it was I think in 1994 they decided to close it up. His dad was done doing it, right? Because it was a lot of work. So the next year, 95, their family wasn't part of the state fair for the first time in like 20 some years.
Wow.
Apparently the state fair reached out to them and asked if they were interested in doing another thing there because they've been so ingrained in the state fair for so long. So my college roommate and his brother decided to start a malt shop, and it was in the building. It was in the building directly next to the giant slide, like literally right next to it. So if you're looking at the giant slide, the building isn't there anymore, but it's to the right of the giant slide. So he needed people to work for him, and they ran they had food too, and he needed somebody to help with breakfast. So he at the time I was working at the post office, and I was working at the Priority Annex, which was like 2 miles away from the state fairgrounds. And so I would get done with work, and he asked me, he goes, are you interested in coming to work? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? It'd be kind of fun because I love the state fair, right? So I went and worked as one of the breakfast cooks there for him right after I got done working at the post office. And while I was there, it's kind of a connection through a connection, but their family's chiropractor had a cabin. Let's see, it was there at their lake cabin. Their next door neighbor was a chiropractor and he had asked that family if they knew anybody who might want to come and work at the fair. Well, that family knew my wife's family and said, hey, they got a bunch of kids that work hard all the time. They're church kids, pastors' kids, the whole thing. They bust their butt. So it was, yeah, you could reach out to them. So they reached out to my wife's family, and she and her younger sister, Sarah, got hired to work in the malt shop part of it. So they came on at like 11 o'clock, right after the breakfast rush. So that first day, I'm working the kitchen, starts at 6:30 or whatever. And about 10:30 or so, the kids come streaming in who are going to work in the malt shop, and my wife walked by and went, "Ooh, who's that?" And I started asking her like to get me. I could reach the pop machine, but I asked her to get me pop all the time and make me malts, and she started doing all that, and we just started talking, and the rest is history. We went and had some sandwiches on break, and went and watched the fireworks after, and so I met my wife at the state fair.
There you go.
Yep. Just on a whim, I started helping my college roommate, and but yeah, they were there for, I think they were there for like 4 or 5 years, and then they shut it down again. He got tired of working all that stuff because he had to work at his dad's place all the time too, so he was always there. He got tired of it. Yeah, somebody else's hobby turned into me meeting my wife.
Yeah. So there you go. There's another another link, right? If you'd have been
Yep.
sitting at home doing nothing.
Yep. That's the whole thing. Is like I've always been like that. I'm not good at sitting still and doing nothing. I'm just not good at it. And I've tried it and I get bored so fast. So it's like I got to go do something. So I was working 10-hour shifts at the post office, and then I'd work 4 or 5 hour shifts at the state fair for 12 days. Yep.
Wow.
But it worked out for me, so stay motivated. Stay
Yes.
moving.
So in looking at, because I want to kind of see if we can bring this around, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things about martial arts for me that has kept me um, interested in it and wanting to stay a part of it and be a part of it is some of what we've been discussing. And that is the camaraderie, the exercise, the challenge. Um, and one of the things that I've discovered, for me personally, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this, to kind of for us as a good place to wrap up. Um, the one thing that I didn't enjoy was fighting. In the tournaments, the
Mm-hmm.
combative part,
Yep.
body wise. Now with an instrument, with
Stick.
a stick or a sword, something like that, very very different. The now I'm forgetting the name of them. The thing that I practiced that with
The
downstairs all the
Eskrima.
time. Huh?
The Eskrima.
Eskrima. Um, to me, it was more. There was some enjoyment in like dodgeball, right?
Yep.
And there's a ton of fun to it, whereas the getting into the fighting, where it's more contact with hands and feet, um, had me in a space and a mindset of a place I didn't like being. Um, the control wasn't there for me. It was too easy to go out of control and get upset. And I could see myself going there, and I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the injury that came from one of them, completely accidental, right? Not,
Mm-hmm.
I know it wasn't intentional, but the place that it put me in was that survival place of getting almost to the point of super angry and defensive and wanting to scrap it out.
Yep.
And I didn't like that about who it made me become. And I don't know if you've heard that or seen that, or and I think that's part of when I look at some of the things like the hobbies, right? I don't play video games because the one time I found a video game that I really enjoyed, it's all I did. I obsessed about it. It
Yeah.
was, and I literally, this was before the internet, right? So
Yeah.
like you and I could be playing a game right now and chatting through StreamYard.
Right.
I was on a phone with the phone to my neck playing, with a handheld, and we were talking and about, I'm both in the same situation. And I realized all of, and I remember the guy I was doing it with, Kirk. We bought this game, and neither of us, I don't think we slept much for 3 weeks until we got to the end of it. And we obsessed about it constantly until we reached the end. And we reached the end, and it was like, now what?
Yep.
And I looked back and I went, oh my God, I just lost 3 weeks of my life.
Yep.
Same thing with gambling and going to the casino. There was a point in my life when I went playing blackjack down at Little Six Mystic Lake, and I got so into it. I was there, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night,
Dang.
every week. And then I dated one of the gals that was a dealer. I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you want to speak to the martial arts piece. I mean, I just brought up 3 different areas, but the martial arts piece and the fighting piece for me, you know, fighting with the sword and the eskrima and doing forms and things is a much more challenging, fun aspect for me.
Yeah.
The fighting aspect brings up parts of my personality that I've controlled for many years.
Yeah, we have students that, not everybody likes the contact, right? There's some people who just they would rather quit martial arts altogether than have to spar. And it's just, that's just how it is. That's part, some people that's just not their thing, right? But you put a weapon in their hand, like a set of chucks or a bow staff, and all of a sudden they're like, man, this is awesome, right? It's just kind of how it is. Not everybody enjoys everything about martial arts. I personally, I love everything. That's just how, but there's kids that they don't want to spar. Like, all right, well, I'm not going to make you spar, but how about a weapon? And they love it. They take the chucks, they take the sword, whatever it is, right? And then suddenly they're putting all their energy into that, and it's great. But the whole thing is like, if somebody's in martial arts and they're like, you got to guide them to what they enjoy to keep them going. Otherwise, they will quit, because it becomes, sometimes for some kids it becomes a chore to have to go to martial arts because they're just not having fun, right?
Yeah.
And if they're not having fun, they're not going to learn anything. They're not going to learn life skills. They're not going to learn anything because they don't want to be there, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you say to them, what you try and do, punish. None of that stuff works because they don't want to be there. So if you, as an instructor, my job is to make it not only so they're learning martial arts, learning life skills, and all that stuff, but having fun. Because if I'm not having fun, I don't want to be there either, right? It's not all fun all the time, but if it's not at least fun some of the time, what's the point?
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
It's not that serious. It really isn't. And there's parts of it that are, obviously, but it's not all serious, And like right now, we're in a cycle where we're doing moms and dads train free, and we have like 11 parents that joined, and they're having a blast. Because there's a bunch of adults training together, feeling awkward together, figuring stuff out together, just enjoying learning something new that from the stands looks easy, right? But they get out on the mats and they're like, "Whoa, this isn't as easy as it looks." I say, "No, that's why we get you out here so you can understand it."
Yep.
Right? So now they can relate to the kids more because they're going through it the same way the kids are going through it. So now they change how they look at how their kids are doing the stuff that they're doing through martial arts because they've experienced it themselves. Right? They have a different perspective now. So now when they're teaching their kids, they probably have a little bit more say because the kids see them on the mats too. So mom and dad are doing it, so they must know what's going on now, right? Because they've been there. So the parents got a lot more, I don't want to say control, but like influence on their kids because they're doing the same things their kids are doing. And their kids are seeing them struggle and be human and be people. And it makes mom and dad like, oh, they're super cool. I get it all the time. Kids
Yeah.
beam when their parents are on the floor. They love it, love it, love it, love it. The parents are enjoying it too, and they see their kids are super happy. It's a win for everybody.
And I think that's, um, if there's one piece of advice and thing to take away from tonight, and I think it would be fun to do a round two on this subject, right? Because we didn't even really spend much time on the back.
Yeah,
Um, I think there's something to be said for during summer break, during winter breaks, during evenings, during the week, during the weekends, during the school year, parents introducing kids to different things, getting finding activities to do as a family that involve, quote unquote, creating a hobby, growing somehow, training
mm-hmm.
and developing. I mean,
Challenging.
challenging. Yep. My parents, when I was from the time I was 8 to 11, we lived in a place in France where skiing was a big thing. And then in the summer, traveling around Europe and going and visiting and hiking and going to the beach and swimming, right? Because everything was very within what I would call close proximity. And I got, I mean, I got inundated with things.
Yep.
And not in a bad way, just in a, wow, I got to do this. What a privilege. I rode horse, right? I did this, I did that. I climbed. I, went um, um, in a balloon, right? I did a bunch of these different things. Um, Camping, motorboating, fishing. My dad liked fishing, canoeing, all of that stuff. And I think one of the things that I'm seeing and hearing about what we're creating in this conversation is growing as human beings, growing as a family, growing as individuals in different things to find out what inspires us, helps us to grow, gives us the reward that then inspires us to move forward.
Yep.
Closing thoughts?
Well, I like this line. It says, "Find something that makes you excited to grow, as it may start as a hobby, but could end up changing your entire life," which is what it did for me. Literally,
Yeah.
a hobby turned into who I am now. Literally.
And just from my aspect of watching you and knowing you for the years that I've known you, watching you go from being an instructor in a classroom, creating something and doing these little, stepping out, kind of toe in the water, to now having a driving force here with this video cast, having a driving force into the schools, into the
Mm-hmm.
communities, and really expanding and watching you see, see how you are made happy by that and fulfilled by it.
Mm-hmm.
And now seeing the fact that your son is also, fueled by that is
Yep.
just, it is a ton of fun as a bystander, right? Watching, it is the culmination of a tremendous amount of work,
Yep.
inspiration, and seeing how you can fall in love with your work.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other
Yep.
thing.
Yep. One left turn into a strip mall changed my life forever.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, anything else, or are we ready to wrap up for tonight?
I think we're good.
All right. Let me, here we go.